Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. If you're planning to build a shipping container house, this video brings to you 10 things you should know before building a shipping container house. Good, welcome back. Without much ado, the following are the 10 things you need to know before building a shipping container house. At number 10, not all types of shipping containers are suitable for home construction. There are over 10 types of shipping containers used to ship cargo across the world. Some containers are more suitable for home construction over others. Of all these types, dry containers, sometimes called standard containers, are the most common type of shipping containers used to transport all types of general and dry cargo. High cube containers are similar in structure to general purpose containers but taller by 1 foot. The extra foot of ceiling height creates extra room for ceiling insulation without compromising the headroom of the habitable space, making them the most popular type for home construction. Double-door containers and open-side containers are very similar to general-purpose shipping containers, the only difference being that the doors can open completely on the container ends and container sides, respectively. In home construction, this makes it easy to install full-height glazing since there is no need to cut off the steel. Just install the full-height doors or windows and leave the original cargo doors to function as security doors. Some people would use refrigerated ISO containers, also called reefer containers, for home construction. However, personally, I would not recommend them. The many challenges of modifying a reefer into a habitable space, such as additional weight, limited internal space, difficulty in cutting through the insulation, or insulation may even catch fire during welding. This, among others, makes reefers an unpopular candidate for me. Feel free to check out our previous video on the types of shipping containers for more information. Number 9. To live in a shipping container house, you must have insulation. Most containers are made from cotton steel. They are intended to transport cargo across the world and not for human habitation. Steel is a good conductor of heat. Therefore, to live in a shipping container home without a thoughtful and comprehensive temperature control strategy, the home could be absolutely freezing in cold climate or a smoking hot box in summer. The type of insulation to use will be determined by the climate of your home's location. In cold climates, you need proper insulation to keep the home warm and to prevent condensation, which can corrode the container and form mold. Apart from its cost limitations, closed-cell spray foam insulation has got excellent moisture barrier properties and good R values, making it effective for cold climates. However, that doesn't make it an automatic insulation in all scenarios. If you are building in the tropical climate, keeping the heat away from your container house is of paramount importance. Any insulation with proper passive design strategy would be good enough. Feel free to check out our previous video on the pros and cons of the top 8 insulation and temperature control strategies for shipping container homes. Number 8. Do not cut the containers too much, otherwise known as over-modification. To use a shipping container as a habitable space, there is need to modify the container structure to make it homely. Incorporating flair into a shipping container home design is not a bad thing. To use a container as a home, cutting out steel for windows and doors is almost unavoidable. However, removing entire or large portions of the walls or the roof compromises the structural integrity of shipping containers, and therefore you may need to consult an expert, and more so for multiple story buildings. The roof and the walls of shipping containers are the weakest structurally. They are not designed to be load-bearing. Shipping containers are designed to hold their weight on the base and the four corners of the structure. Container modules are designed to be stacked at the corners. Loading them at any other position or making openings in the roof and the walls introduces weak points, calling for further reinforcement using steel sections. This may translate into additional costs and time overruns on the project. To avoid over-modification, go for a well-designed floor plan that exploits the limitations of the container module as a blessing rather than a curse. Using open gaps between containers, exploring different layout combinations with container modules will also allow for less cuttings or over-modification, hence reducing costs. Feel free to visit our website ShelterMode.com to explore good designs of shipping container homes. Number 7. Build with a house plan designed by a professional. Before you embark on the building process, hire an architect or an engineer to help you with the design of your project. If you can't afford an architect, architect-designed stock plans from ShelterMode.com offer an alternative affordable option. Most stock plans go for a fraction of the cost of professional fees and can be amended on site to suit the client's needs with marginal costs. Don't fall prey to plan books and articles in your local store or a street vendor, since most of these books are outdated and lack any serious professional input in terms of design and specification. A good design will guarantee you a good house, an efficient floor plan with optimal room sizes with no or little space wastages. In addition, it will also give you a sustainable design, hence low running costs during occupancy. Number 6, make sure your property is zoned for container homes. This certainly can be one of the hardest parts of building a shipping container home. However, this requirement isn't just unique to shipping container homes. It is applicable to all new homes built in any other part of the world, regardless of their construction material. Obtaining a building permit can take months, even years, and cost several $1,000s depending on where you need to build. It is advisable to factor in the cost of time overruns that come with building permit delays. However, in some cities, if your land lies outside city zoning, this means your land lies outside of the building permit regulations. You can build there without a permit. Before embarking on any shipping container project, carry out proper research on your local planning laws and acquire the relevant permits to prevent hitting a brick wall with your project. Number 5, shipping containers can be potential health hazards. A real concern about homes built from shipping containers is the possibility of multiple toxic exposures. The container walls may contain phosphorus, chromate, and lead-based paints. The timber floors may have been treated with insecticides in order to meet global quarantine requirements for safe imports and exports. In addition, prior contents shipped in containers may also be a concern if toxic or radioactive cargo was previously present. To remedy any toxic wall paint finishes and toxic spillages from various cargo products, it is advisable to sandblast all internal surfaces down to the bare metal, then seal and repaint with non-toxic paint. When repurposing a unit for human habitation, removing and disposing of the timber floors may be the surest option to get rid of any toxic exposures, if cost is not a limitation. Alternatively, an epoxy flooring with a non-porous sealant can act as a moisture and a vapor barrier on top of wooden floors to help limit the oozing gases from the fumigant. Other floor types can be used on top of the existing container floors as effective alternatives. Number 4. Getting an experienced contractor can be difficult. This is the biggest and the most important decision for anyone planning to build a shipping container house. Shipping container homes are relatively a new trend of building across the globe. Finding a building contractor who has experience in building a shipping container home can be one of the hardest things to do, especially if your region or neighborhood has no such comparables. Most people want to build their shipping container homes themselves. However, sometimes this isn't just possible, either because you don't have enough time or you don't have previous DIY experience. Ensure you get a contractor with experience and help you deliver the project within budget. Apart from a general contractor, specialized contractors will be needed for specialized works such as electrical and plumbing works. The best way to find an experienced contractor is to get in touch with other local container home owners and speak directly to them for referrals. Number 3, avoid building with very old containers if you can. Buying an old container may be cheap, but it will cost you more to restore and maintain. This is true to the old adage, cheap can be expensive. Old containers come with challenges of dampness, corrosion, deformed corners, dented walls, and warped roof panels. It is advisable to inspect the containers in person before buying them. Seeing the container is more preferable, but if it's not possible to inspect the container physically, ask for photos of all the corner joints and also underneath and above the containers to ascertain the exact state of the container before paying for them. To avoid this expensive affair of restoring old containers, it is advisable to buy a one-trip shipping container whenever possible. A one-trip shipping container is a container used to ship a single cargo load, and once it arrives at its destination, it is sold off. One-trip containers are preferable because they have less or no blemish at all and are cheaper than new containers. Using new containers would be the best alternative, but this will negate the whole concept of affordability and sustainability. Number 2, build with your local climate in mind. For a shipping container to be conducive for human habitation, indoor climate control is essential. Designing a building with climate in mind enables you to avoid wrong specification or over-designing your house. The local climate should dictate the type of insulation, ventilation, and types of finish to use. If you are building in a tropical climate, your biggest challenge is to keep away heat from your container house. Passive design offers the best cost-effective temperature regulation strategy for your container home at almost zero cost. For cold climates, the story is quite different. You will need to keep off the cold and dampness, which can cause condensation and mold. At the same time, you will need to conserve heat within your building. This cost variation can be huge and is worth exploring. With this in mind, there is no one-size-fits-all scenario when it comes to building with climate. Last but not least, at number one is building with shipping containers is not necessarily cheaper. The general assumption that building a shipping container home is cheaper than a conventional house is not necessarily true. Container housing may be a viable alternative accommodation option, but it depends on so many factors such as the location of the house, the size of the house, the type of finishes used, and the cost of contingencies. Container homes involve a lot of welding. Welding takes a long time and it is expensive, so try to keep it to a minimum. Over-modification of containers is another source of additional costs. Container walls are load-bearing and bracing, and therefore cutting openings will need additional steel reinforcement, hence additional costs. The sheer size and weight of container modules generally will require a crane or a forklift to place each container on location. This is a cost you would perhaps not incur in conventional building. Insulation is another cost to look at. If you are building in a tropical climate, your only challenge is to keep away heat, but this is not the case for temperate regions. In this case, you will need insulation to keep off cold and conserve heat at the same time. This cost variation is also a big deal. In addition, if you are building with old containers, restoring them can be a nightmare and a very expensive affair. Looking at all these hidden costs and extra work that is needed to make a steel box in the name of a shipping container habitable, it may be erroneous at this stage to generalize that building with shipping containers is a cheaper option. We hope you found our analysis exhaustive and informative enough to help you make an informed decision before you embark on your shipping container home project. If you have built your own shipping container home, let us know what challenges and lessons you learned when building your project. If you feel we've left out anything, kindly let us know by posting in the comments below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and feel free to share it. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for our weekly videos on amazing design ideas from shipping containers. Thank you for your time and see you in the next video.